We're going to do some more vocab here. Genome. What is the genome? Well, the easiest way to explain it in simplest terms is a genome is all your genes. All of your genes. You might also hear is it all of your chromosomes. Now, what's the difference between genes and chromosomes? Well, if you remember, chromosomes are highly coiled strands of DNA. So if I were to pull it out, this would just be DNA right here. This is DNA. This is a chromosome. And on this DNA here are genes. There are many of them. So the DNA holds your genes, and a chromosome is a highly coiled string of DNA. So when I say all of your chromosomes, I'm also saying all of your genes. So here are the two different ways you'll hear about the genome. Other thing you might want to know is the human has 46 chromosomes in his genome. 23 pairs. So human genome, 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. Human genome also has about 20,000, 25,000 genes. So on those 46 chromosomes, we have about 20 to 25,000 genes. Purebred. Now, for simplest terms, purebred, the way we're going to look at it is just homozygous. So the letter capital T would be purebred, lowercase t would be purebred, but heterozygote, capital T, lowercase, would not be homozygous. Hybrid, for our purposes, it can be more complex, but for us, is heterozygous. So this is correct, this is not hybrid, this is not hybrid. Allele, we've actually been looking at these the whole time. An allele is a version of a gene. So let's say this is one chromosome, and we have capital T on this one. Chromosome, we have a lowercase t on this one. Tall versus short. We have one version over here, one version over here, two alleles. In fact, we haven't seen anything with more than two alleles. If you have for example, hair color, the gene for hair color, let's say it was blonde or brunette, you'd have two alleles, two different versions. A, B, O, blood, on the other hand, you can be A, you can be B, you can be O. There's other combinations of that as well. So we have three alleles, three different versions. But we're not actually talking too much, we're not going that in depth. But you do need to know that when we look at something like this, AA, that's a genotype, two alleles. This is the dominant allele. This is the recessive allele. So we've been talking about alleles the whole time, but now we're actually going to put a word on it. Before we were calling it the version of a gene, we even shortcut it as the gene, but remember, when we look at those letters, if they're different, we have two different alleles. Okay, lastly, Gregor Mendel. He's very famous. He's known as the father of genetics. He's a monk around the 1840s. Tested on pea plants. I explained Mendel's laws of inheritance in another video, but I will briefly define them here with very simple terms. Law of dominance that he figured out, and this was not known back then, but basically one allele, one version of the gene will dominate over the other, it will not be blending. So y is greater than little y. One version allele dominates law of segregation is the idea that you get one from your father and one from your mother. So let's see here. This is your father, so you get one gene allele from father, one from mother. So this is let's say this is your father, and this is the symbol for male. This is the mother, symbol for female. And here's the gene right here. You're going to get one of these. You're going to get one of these. And it's a 50-50 chance, but you can only get one. So let's take this one. You only get one, notice. And let's take this one. You only get one. So you will have two alleles, one from the mom, one from the father, mother. But it's chance which one you get. You get one from each of your moms and father. Law of assortment is it's 50-50 chance which gene, I should say which version of gene, which is the same thing as saying allele, you get. Okay, coin flip. The idea is they thought at once that this might affect, like a dominant might affect the recessive, but it doesn't. They're completely independent of each other. So which one you get is completely 50-50. So statistically, it will turn out the way if you track numbers like count plants, as Mendel did. So 50-50 chance, coin flip, which one you get, but you only get one, which is law of segregation. And if you get the dominant one, it will supersede over the recessive one. It will show over the recessive one. So those are three rules that Mendel figured out and are at the basis of all classical genetics.